Spoiler alert, I'm not holding back. I'm going to be talking about what happened in Dragon Ball DAIMA episode 18. So if you haven't watched yet, I highly recommend that you come back after watching. I'm going to give you 3 seconds to click away. 3, 2, 1. Super Saiyan 4 is back, and I've got a lot to say about that. So let's get into my breakdown and review of Dragon Ball DAIMA episode 18. So this episode picks up where we left off in episode 17. We get Super Saiyan 3 Goku facing off against King Goma, and it's a fun fight. Overall, the fight, the animation, the execution here has been done very well. It's been very enjoyable to watch. If you want a deep breakdown of the animation and all that, there are other channels that do that. I'm just focusing kind of on the plot elements and interesting language things that come up here and there. I have my own unique takes, so hopefully you enjoy that, and that's why you're watching these videos. But awesome fight, and we get a moment between Majin Doo and Majin Ku, where Majin Ku gives Majin Doo a cookie because Doo wants to join in on the fight. He's impressed with Goku powering up, and then Majin Doo also powers up, and he actually joins in the fight. He actually is able to keep up with Goku and King Goma, but then he quickly burns out. So I'm just going to say that this was a sugar high, and Majin Doo powered up and he burnt off all that sugar, and then he crashed very quickly, because otherwise I don't know how this would really make all that much sense. How does a cookie power you up to that degree? Yeah, don't think about it too much. That is the lesson of DAIMA, but kind of Dragon Ball in general. Just don't overthink it. But anyway, the fight continues, and eventually Goma gets the upper hand, and Goku finds himself in a tough situation. It seems like, oh no, what's going to happen? Things aren't going to go our hero's way. And then Neva steps in and powers up Goku, unlocks Super Saiyan 4 or something like it. I am going to talk quite a bit about this, but before I get to that, I've noticed people in Japan talking about how, number one, this version of Super Saiyan 4, of course, it's not the same as GT because it's a mini version, but also it's reminiscent of like Super Saiyan God or Kaioken, kind of the coloring. It kind of looks like that, but also it's reminiscent of Dragon Ball Heroes. There's, I don't watch Dragon Ball Heroes. I don't keep track of any of that, but there's apparently like an Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker, something like that. I think in English it's like Full Power Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker. In Japanese, I think it's Super Ultra Saiyajin 4 Genkai Toppa. I think these names are ridiculous. So apparently this version is kind of similar to that version of Super Saiyan 4. Whatever it is, it's clearly based on Super Saiyan 4. And this is Bandai's attempt, or well, okay, I'll say Toei and Bandai and everybody's attempt to bring in Super Saiyan 4 into mainline continuity. The transformation, the animation, the fight and stuff, very cool, very awesome. Even though I don't particularly care for GT, and to be perfectly honest, I never even bothered to finish to watch it. I know I should, and I probably will, but yeah, that's how much I just didn't really care for it. I do think that Super Saiyan 4 is an awesome character design. I like it. I certainly would not be opposed to having a figure of Super Saiyan 4 on my shelf. I like it. But here's the thing. Super Saiyan 4 was not hinted at whatsoever in DAIMA. There was nothing established. There was nothing, they didn't say anything that made us think that Super Saiyan 4 was coming, that this was a potential form for Saiyans. This is what I don't like. And yes, we have seen 2 instances of Neva powering up characters, specifically characters that he created. So it's kind of iffy. Like he powered up Tamagami number 2, and it seems like he powered up Tamagami number 1 as well. We also know that Namekians can have the power to power up somebody and to heal, although we haven't really seen healing on the part of Neva, but Neva can do anything, so I'm sure he can heal them. Why doesn't he just heal Vegeta then, right? If then they can heal people, then Neva should be able to heal people. Vegeta's like all beat up here. Like it seems kind of weird that he was just so out of commission so quickly, but let's put that aside. So my point here is that I'm not against Super Saiyan 4 being in mainline continuity. It's just that I don't think that it was executed well. I think that if they wanted to bring in Super Saiyan 4, which they clearly did because it's going to generate money on the merchandise side, and this is just big fan service for everybody, and they want to, as I covered in a previous video, they want to target the Dragon Ball GT generation, and so Super Saiyan 4 is, you know, obviously one of the biggest things to come out of Dragon Ball GT. So this all makes sense, and I'm not like opposed to it in and of itself. But if they wanted to do this, they should have done it in a better way. And I do think that there was a much better way to execute this, to hint from the very beginning or just close to the beginning of Dragon Ball DAIMA and not have it be just this thing that comes out of nowhere. I did not like that aspect of this. So if you want me to do a video about the better way to introduce Super Saiyan 4, leave me a comment. I probably will do that video. It's basically planned out in my head, like what I want to say. So let me know down in the comments if you want to hear my opinion on that. But that would be several minutes of me talking, so I'm not going to do that here. The point is that I don't like how this was executed, even though I do like the design itself. But here's the thing, as I talked about before, like, even though I like the design, like, what we're getting here is just more rehash on top of rehash, right? So what we got with Goma was a rehash of Jiren. And you can say it's an homage or whatever, but I just don't like the design. I didn't like Jiren's design, and I don't like this design. And this battle seems to be somewhat an homage to the final battle in Dragon Ball Super, in that Goku gets a new form, and he faces off against this big Pride Trooper guy, right? Like, it's very much an homage. You could even say that Majin Buu jumping into the battle is a bit of an homage to a former villain, Frieza, jumping into the battle and helping out Goku, right? Them fighting side to side, and that, like, you could argue that. I don't know if that was completely on purpose, but it certainly could be interpreted that way. So when you have nostalgia for the sake of nostalgia rather than organic plot, that's when I'm not happy, right? Like, I'm totally okay with a little bit of fan service, and I'm okay with references here and there. You know, those are fun, but this was very much not the most organic way to do it. Let's just move on from here. But then, of course, Super Saiyan 4 seems like, he's going to win and all that. And then we get a nice moment with the other characters coming in, and Glorio's like, oh my God, I have to go help Goku. And then we even get like a moment with Piccolo where he uses the Makanko Sappo, which was very nice. But yet again, Piccolo could have been totally replaced here, could have been left out. Piccolo has nothing to do with the main story here. It's a total waste, and I don't think that he's going to get a moment of redemption in the next 2 episodes. I hope I'm wrong, but it's getting harder and harder to pull that off. Anyway, then we have, it seems like, they're going to win, but then Goma powers up again, and he's just a bigger Goma, and then he defeats Super Saiyan 4 rather easily. So it's like Super Saiyan 4 was just kind of thrown in the trash can next to Super Saiyan 3. I can't say I'm surprised, because I was expecting this kind of like, Goku's going to get the upper hand, and then Goma's going to get the upper hand, and then something else is going to have to happen. That something else ended up being Super Saiyan 4, and then Goma got the upper hand, and now we're going to have to get something else. But whatever, Super Saiyan 4, done. And then we have the whole sequence with Glorio getting the call from Arinsu, and she says, bring over the Dragon Balls. And we're getting multiple like suggestions that he is not wanting to obey Arinsu. He has developed a relationship, and he cares about Goku and the gang. He doesn't want to betray them, right? We get these little flashbacks and all that. And that was nice. They actually did something with Glorio, but here's the problem that I continue to have with Glorio. We don't know anything about his backstory. We don't know, like, if he had a tragic past and that's what led him to team up with Arinsu. He's just a vacuum of a character. He's an empty character. And this moment could have been much more emotionally impactful if we would have, for example, left out the whole, like, fake Ginyu squad crap that we got. And yeah, there were a couple funny gags there, but that didn't end up playing out in any significant way. It had no direct impact on the story. Instead of having that, we could have had a moment of Glorio having a flashback and showing, like, actually he was a really poor kid and Arinsu saved him, and then Arinsu somehow controlled him, manipulated him, blah, 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 blah. We could have gotten a nice story there. Instead, we've got nothing from Glorio. Like, it doesn't mean anything here. So this is rather disappointing, but whatever. we have a nice hint here that at the very least he's remorseful about going through with the betrayal. And then Arinsu has him summon the dragon, Porunga, which is like a red version of the Namekian dragon. So very much here homages, callbacks to the Namek saga. That we've had numerous callbacks to the Namek saga throughout Daima. This is just one more. And then we also find out that somehow Arinsu taught what's his name? Glorio, Namekian. So yay. I don't know how that worked. How did she know Namekian, right? Like, that was a little bit of an ass-pull. But okay, fine. She wants to become the supreme demon king or whatever, and so she has him wish for her to become like the most powerful, right? And even King Goma can't stop that. Everybody's going, oh my god, what's going to happen? And then in the episode preview for episode 19, we see her kind of shine. So it seems like she might get that power up. Also, I should point out that the title for episode 19 is Uragiri, which means, betray or betrayal, I guess would be the best translation there. So, okay, so here's what I think is going to happen. Probably Glorio. Okay, so I think what some people might be saying is that Glorio didn't wish for her to become the strongest. He actually wished for Goku and whatever, Piccolo and Vegeta to become adults again. But if that was the case, then the next episode will be totally anticlimactic because we know that they can defeat Arinsu easily. We know that them in their full power should be able to defeat Majin-Ku and Majin-Du fairly easily. And they would also be able to defeat, presumably, King Goma. So there would be no challenge there. So instead, I do think that he wishes for her to become the final boss and the strongest. But then the good guys, Goku and Vegeta and all that, they have to fuse or, do something, right? Ku and Du have to fuse. And that's how they finally defeat the final boss, which ends up being Arinsu. Because there's this whole thing, there's this big lips theory, which I can talk about more, and King Goma has the big lips. There's no final boss in Dragon Ball with big lips. That's the short version of this. I don't think King Goma is the final boss. I think Arinsu is probably going to be the final boss, and everybody's going to have to team up together, fuse and all that to defeat him, and Glorio is going to have somehow a moment of redemption. I hope we get some backstory there, but I don't know. So what did I think of the episode overall? It was fun. It was the kind of thing that you watch with your brain turned off, and if you do, then you can really, really enjoy it. But when you turn your brain back on and you think about the story and how everything was set up, it's just not as good. So I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10. I have problems with Super Saiyan 4, how it was introduced. I have problems with Neva just coming in out of nowhere and doing that. I have problems with Glorio, how that was executed, how Vegeta and Piccolo have been handled. I do like that Arinsu seems like she might be the final boss. I like that she's getting a moment to shine. I like that aspect of this, but it's just not enough. So again, 7 out of 10. What did you think? Did you enjoy this episode? Do you think this was the best one? Do you have problems with Super Saiyan 4? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to be doing breakdowns for the next 2 episodes, and I'm going to do an overall review of the series once we're done. And I've got other Dragon Ball videos also coming up. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next one.